Mary Claire or Mitch?
While the tools are not perfect, they're certainly very good, and they certainly do deliver a lot of value to clients if they're put in the right hands and used in the right way. And that's across the board. I think that the incentive to really get in there and do something now is to be first. I guess is always a good thing, and to pioneer new ways of thinking. We've seen so many brands over the last couple of years really do great things on social, but I think realistically, I don't think there's probably the risk that there was 6 months ago. I think that networks are starting to open up a lot more of their APIs. We're starting to get a lot better quality data. It's got a way to go, but at the same time, I don't think there's any 100% method for on-site e-commerce analytics yet either. So I think that there is a way to go, but I think that we're seeing a lot of brands uptake these kinds of tools and really have a lot of success with them already.
Mary Claire, did you have anything to add to that? Or?
I'd just say that the web itself is still very new. We forget that because we're so used to using it, and we've seen it develop so quickly, considering how long we've had it for. But there's so many things that are still being developed now that are very premature, like the semantic web, for example, which is one. So it's a little bit like saying, well, let's not use the web until it's perfect. We do have to jump in there and develop it. So.
Now, Mitch, you touched on an interesting area. You said that a lot of APIs and stuff are opening up. How do we feel about the fact that the #1 social site on the web, Facebook, is still primarily closed off in terms of most of the stuff in there still can't be tracked or measured by any tool? How do we feel that has an impact on the overall validity of the numbers we're coming out with at the end of the day?
So I think the biggest change that will happen to Facebook at some point in the future, and I'm certainly not here gazing into a crystal ball, but I think at some point that will become a very open network, and there'll probably be less information that we'll probably share as people who use it, but it'll become a very open network. And also I probably predict that it'll probably have a friendships request very similar to Twitter, where they can be omnidirectional. I think that what we're starting to see with guys like Facebook is, yes, brands really want to know what people are saying on their private pages. Yes, that is important to me as an organisation. But the trick is, well, if I go onto my profile page and I say to my 200 friends how annoyed with Big Pond that I am, thanks Gavin for the router, mate. But if I go on there and say something like that, well then I'm influencing potentially 200 people. I'm probably more likely, if I'm going to say something about a brand, to go to their public pages that are trackable, pages that are accessible by tools, where I'm going to be more influential and where I'm probably be able to get the reach. So I guess with Facebook opening up some of their pages and becoming more and more open, that's probably becoming less and less of an issue.
So faith is that it'll be there in the future at some point.
I think we're pretty close now. I think we see enough on the public pages, the fan pages, the groups. I know that tracking in that exists on a lot of tools, including our own. So we do have, inroads into that information. I think it's more the private pages that probably aren't there yet, but they're coming, I think.
Andrew, what about you? What do you think of the validity of these tools and the real value of them when the biggest player in the field isn't 100% open with it there yet?
It has improved considerably recently. Facebook's reporting historically has not been... it's not been worth really spending the time looking at. We've got some metrics and some measurement in there that we didn't have before. I think that if obviously Omniture are driving the Facebook analytics and reporting now, and I think that as they start to roll out new features, the reporting will improve. But in terms of it being open, I don't really see Facebook's reasons for opening up those kind of opening up the accessibility to, say, an API for reporting in the same way that Twitter's API has been open. Twitter's API is absolutely phenomenal in terms of the opportunity to actually, investigate an individual's importance and how insightful that user is, how important that user is to influence others. we've kind of talked about kind of importance of influencers. There are some tools that aren't perfect but do give a good idea, like Cloud, for instance. It isn't perfect, and last time I spoke to somebody about it, they said it hadn't been updated recently. But the idea behind it, and the fact that there's a mathematical function to define the importance of an individual, is going to come to the wider social networks for advertisers. So I think it will come, but quite in what way, I'm not sure.
But we're still a way off yet, you were saying. Mary Claire?
I don't have much to add. Just that I guess the most interesting thing that Facebook have for me is all that knowledge about who's connected to who and who those people are. And that's really what, the semantic web is also interested in, because, if I post a blog post on your blog, for example, and sign it with my name and say I have a Facebook signature that goes with it, you'd be able to track back all of the people I'm connected to and be able to figure out how many people are likely to read it, for example. So I know that Facebook are working with some semantic web elements at the moment. It all sounds, from what I've heard, I haven't followed it closely, but it's a little bit confused. But I think that it's all going in the right direction, and I think that the value of Facebook goes way beyond, those pages and people visiting them.
I think that obviously Facebook have now are working with Microsoft as a search partner, and the opportunities that the Microsoft Yahoo Search Alliance and the Facebook Microsoft Search Alliance could bring in the future, could see some really, really interesting things coming out of the semantic search kind of environment. I think it's only going to improve.
One question that came through the Twitter feed is a few people have mentioned what are the real issues around, and I know we've spoken about this in a previous session, but what do you guys see as these tools having in terms of an impact on a user's privacy, if any? What does it mean for their privacy?
I think privacy is a very different issue online than what it is in real life. It's with tracking tools and things like that, it's like if I came to you 10 years ago and said, I'll stick a little black box on top of the water cooler at your office, and anytime someone that talks about you would switch it on and listen, and then switch it off when they're done. I think that just the nature of the way we speak and the nature of the way we communicate, a lot of those water cooler type conversations, about our weekends, about brands that we like, about things that we do, places that we enjoy, a lot of those conversations are taking place online. It is somewhat voyeuristic to look into that and start thinking about, the way people consider brands and the way people engage with their friends and with their with our brands and with each other. But I guess the privacy concerns are probably less, because people do realise that they are publishing this. They realise it to a certain level. They realise it probably more subconsciously than consciously that what they're saying is being tracked by someone somewhere.
But you're mentioning things like the Facebook platform opening up its APIs, and Facebook has notoriously not been 100% clear with its users who, when they first signed up, were told that everything was there and secret in a walled garden, and slowly over time they've been chipping away at this walled garden and letting marketers come in and start analyzing that. Do you think, aside from the kind of user that you'll see in this room, your everyday kind of general user, do you think that they're fully aware of that's happening in the background?
Not at all. I would say most people who would sign up to Facebook now are quite late adopters, probably not necessarily the most technology savvy people, and probably don't read terms and conditions. I don't think anyone in this room could claim that they've read a Microsoft end user license agreement. I don't think anyone's going to be doing it on Facebook either. So, no, I don't think they're aware of it at all.
So what's the argument there? Is it saying that, look, we gave you this water cooler for free, so yeah, there was a black box on it, you didn't ask about it, so we just had it switched on?
I don't think the concern lies with Facebook. I think Facebook want to open up their platform to make money and to be able to drive revenues for their business. And I think that the lead on from that is that by publicising a lot of that information, marketers will take advantage of it, and that's just a harsh reality, I guess.